Before we jump into today's topic, a quick disclaimer. The stories and data we share come from the states that we practice in and the experiences that we personally had, which can differ greatly across our country and certainly the globe. This is not a professional advice show. So let's get comfy and talk about death.
Hello and welcome to Mort Mike.
A down-to-earth discussion on death and dying.
I'm Brandy.
I'm Sierra.
And I'm Red, and once again, we are your corrupt crime scene constables. The Thanato T Queens are back once more with even more dastardly death-dealing dickheads that have given... Sorry, this is unhinged.
Yeah, keep going. Commit.
Yeah,
man.
please.
These dickheads that have given piss-poor names to those that have made deathcare their career and trashed the trust of families who believed in them. Coming in real hot today, girls.
Wow, I love it.
Oh,
I'm here for it.
So, to pick up where we left off, why don't you start us off this time, Sierra? Give us that straight sauce.
I hope you like your tea piping hot, because that's the only way I deliver it. We are actually going to deep dive, well, I guess it's more surface dive, but whatever, into Burr Oak Cemetery. Okay, this is out in Illinois, Cook County, right around Chicago area. Basically, they've been open since the dawn of time, Great Depression era, 1927, and they, typically were known for running like a relatively decent establishment, nothing crazy, until 2009, where two brothers decided that it would be in their best interest to start, moving some bodies out of previously occupied places and then reselling the places and just kind of dumping the bodies in the back in a big mass grave. Dude. Yeah, not exactly ideal.
Cursed energy.
Yeah, that's some bad juju, man. That's some karma coming back around, right?
You want a haunting? That's how you get
That's how you get hauntings, man. Listen,
all they gotta do is build a house on top of it.
Right?
Yeah, actually,
Good poltergeist shit.
Well, so this cemetery, too, is, like, home to a good amount of, like, well-known Chicagoans. It's Chicagoians? What are they called? People from Chicago.
I like both.
We used to call them FIPS, fucking Illinois people, back when I lived in that area.
FIPS. Yeah. Well, listen, they've already, gotten a lot of disrespect. So I was trying to think of something cute for them.
Oh.
Anyway, a ton of musicians, a good amount of, like, relatively well-known people for the area. Some of them got relocated, which is super duper not good. It was first discovered when they started doing like a body count. Basically, the cemetery itself had over, I think it was 10,000 extra bodies, and they were like, that's way over your plot space. Like, where the fuck are these people, right? Mm-hmm. And not only were they not at full capacity, but all of a sudden they have, like, extra spaces in places that they've claimed have never had graves. So, of course, people were suspicious, and then, obviously, there was a whole entire investigation. It did turn the entire cemetery into a crime scene itself, so it was closed to the public. Nobody could go and, like, try and figure out where grandma was, Mm-hmm. And, during the investigation and everything, it was about like a 6-month period where it just wasn't open. The nice thing about this story, though, is that they were convicted, they were found guilty, and they are currently serving 6 3-year sentences, I think. It's either 3 6-year sentences or 6 3-year sentences. Either way, they're locked up. And I think that's well-deserving. Just don't move people, man. Money's such a weird, like, thing to get haunted for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a horrendous motivator for something like this to do. Like, I know that, yeah, if you're going to commit a crime, like, you're not really concerned about conscious moral efforts or anything. But, like, this one is especially just rotten.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. So it was, like, two brothers, apparently, that, like, ended up getting like the full sentences, but it was like a four-person team that kind of like did everything. When I was like reading into it, I didn't see exactly what happened to like the other two people. I'm assuming they got sentences or something happened to them, but they were very heavy on these two brothers apparently.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the case where there's like the patsies or whatever that get like a lighter sentence if they give up more information about like the head honcho type thing. So
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
makes sense.
It's crazy. I just, man, listen, I love money. Money's one of my favorite things. I think it's super duper important. But I just wouldn't risk it for the biscuit in like digging people up and then just putting them other places. You know?
I just don't understand how none of these people ever think they're gonna get caught. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
You'll have that money so temporarily.
Yeah, and listen, man, the couple $100 you're gonna make off pocketing this, it's not gonna pay your way out of jail, man. It's not that much, you know.
Honestly, it seems like a lot of work for probably not like that much money, to be honest. Like,
Right? Like, in the thought process too of like, I'm gonna go dig up so and so today. Like, that's a lot of effort, right? Like, I don't know, excavating a grave and then like moving it somewhere. Like, do you have to do this like in the middle of the night, or do you just do it like during the day and you're like, yeah, don't worry about it?
that would look way more suspicious.
Yeah.
That would definitely look way more suspicious.
If you did it in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Like, they'd be like, what the fuck are they doing over there?
Dude, if you have a big cat out there digging up a vault and pulling it up, that is absolutely more suspicious at midnight.
Yeah, that's so bad.
No, they were doing it old school. They had shovels. You just don't get it.
Yeah, right?
This Birkin hair, like, come on.
In my head, I am imagining shovels. Just so you know.
Absolutely. And they have old-fashioned pipes, and they speak like this.
Yeah. You know, they take the jewelry off the dead bodies before they, like, kind of chuck them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that everybody, if you're looking, moral of the story today is if you're looking for a side hustle, don't dig up dead bodies. Start an OnlyFans or something. Like,
Yeah, do something respectable.
anything else.
Exactly.
Period. On God, for real, for real. Oh, man, that's some crazy stuff. But, Brandy, I heard there's more. There's more tea.
Oh, yeah. There's always more tea. I think that this should just be what we do from now on. We just
Spill the
tell
tea.
This is the
absolutely
podcast.
outlandish. Yeah,
Yes.
this is it. We just talk shit about various different scandals. I'm kind of getting really into it. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a man by the name of Sean Parcells. This maniac is no longer allowed to have a business license in the state of Kansas because he falsified autopsy reports to 350 clients for autopsies he was not qualified to conduct, but did. So,
Oh.
yeah, so our boy Sean, under the business name of National Autopsy Services, LLC, claimed several different doctors supervised and signed off on these autopsies, and many of the doctors listed on these reports have never claimed to see any reports from him. So it seems he was just using these doctors' license numbers to get access to labs where he could like run the toxicology on these autopsies and have some kind of reporting to give to people, because otherwise he doesn't have any licensing, so he wouldn't be able to give them any reports, and he can't technically sign off on anything. But even that is speculation, just what I think he was probably doing. Parcells had a lot of past experience as an autopsy tech and thought that just kind of gave him the right to scam families who needed these autopsy reports completed. As you might know, it's really important to get those autopsy reports signed. Red, you're in the funeral industry, you know that you need those death certificates. You need to get them signed off, and it's important for insurance purposes. And it's just important for families in general to know what happened to their loved one.
So not only was, if he did like autopsy tech work before and was doing the autopsies like even without supervision, like that's fucked up. But like, so he was actually writing up the death certificates or signing the death certificates or like writing up the autopsy reports with causes of death. Like that is a separate. So for everybody out there, that is a separate job. So there, because I wanted to initially, when I started in the field, before I started as a funeral director, I wanted to be a medical examiner. And that's like, it is a doctorate in school plus a bunch of like time in the fields, just like a doctor would have to do there. Yeah.
You have to do exactly the same plus an extra year to become a forensic pathologist. If you want to be a medical examiner and not just a pathologist, it's even more schooling than a normal doctor.
And for reference, autopsy techs is like high school degree. So big difference. So yeah, you can like cut open the bodies, but in order to actually like determine cause of death, you have to be a fucking doctor.
Oh my God. Yeah.
100%. And like so he was in Kansas and the laws are a little bit different. I don't believe they run under like a coroner system, but they technically didn't need to have like a sign off from a doctor. I would have to look it back up. I should have done a little bit more research on that, but there was like something about how Kansas was just a little different. And I know that there are still coroner systems out there in some counties. But still, no matter what, he was still not authorized to be completing these autopsies and then also be signing off on the reports to not only scam families, but scam the government, the police. Yeah. He loved to get involved in criminal cases too. I think he had an ego probably the size of Texas. So the nature of forensic pathology is that there's a chance you could get called to give your findings or observations to the court, especially if you're signing off on the reports. But Sean got to pick his clientele. He was an independent contractor. So I have no idea why in 2014 he decided to get involved in one of the most high-profile cases that took place that year. The murder of Michael Brown.
Brother!
So,
oh my gosh.
I'm sure we all remember where we were in the summer of 2014 when Michael Brown was shot. Claiming to be a forensic pathology expert, Sean made his rounds in the news cycle as an expert, with backing from Michael Baden. So if you're not familiar, Michael Baden was the chief medical examiner of New York in the 70s. And he also conducts autopsies on incredibly high-profile cases, including this one, the O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh my God.
He has a HBO show, if you're not aware of, and where he does autopsy, or he reviews autopsy reports of famous people. So this man is like a well-trusted source for autopsy reporting and forensic pathology. And he's backing this guy because he's such a bullshitter. This dude is like the typical pathological bullshitter who can come up with anything. So yes, he like had this experience in autopsy. And then he's like, well, if I bullshit enough about my experience in autopsy, I could make a ton of money off of this. It was reported that he made like over $1 million doing these autopsies.
He's out there faking it till he makes it,
Wow.
dude.
Literally manipulating one of the most profound medical examiners ever.
That's hilarious.
And yeah, I mean, no wonder he made so much money.
Yeah.
Because, like, so a private autopsy, because we do this for families every now and again, and not we, but we coordinate it with the medical examiners that'll do private autopsies. And usually, I mean, on the very low end, maybe it's $3,500, maybe. And that's like discounted prices because they're really destitute types of things. But as soon as you add certain toxicology stuff to it, you're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 sometimes. Like, that's a fuck ton of money. A fuck ton.
I used to do private autopsies, and a brain alone was $900 to me was $900. I can't imagine how much they were charging for that brain.
God
to
damn.
pay me $900.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into it. And Michael Baden actually said that Parcells was instrumental in the autopsy evaluation of Michael Brown.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yeah, he probably was, because he's a good autopsy tech. He knows how to hold some guts. Like, What are you talking about?
Right. He knows buzzwords.
He knows how to hold the tools to measure. Like, he knows how to dig a bullet out of a skull. Not to be crass, but like, you know, that is truly, yeah, he's instrumental in doing the autopsy, but he is not instrumental in reporting on the autopsy.
Right.
He cannot, I was an autopsy tech. I could not even begin to tell you what the cause of death of any single person was. I can look at anatomy and tell you it looks weird, but I can't tell you what's wrong with it because I don't have a degree to do that. I didn't go to 6 years of medical school to do that. And neither did my dude, Sean Parcells.
That's insane.
Like, it's one thing to fool families that are working with you directly, because, yeah, he could just turn down cases that he knew would, yeah, this family wants a private autopsy because they're going to seek legal proceedings because of it, or potential murders and shit that he would have to be called to court to comment on and stuff. But, yeah, like, to go as far as, you know what, it's just probably a case of things had gone so well for so long, you get that invincibility complex.
Yep.
That it's just like, yeah, I can fucking do this. I can do this even to the government. Like, I could look God in the face and tell him like that all this stuff, and I'm still lying. Like,
his lawyer, if you look up videos of him, his lawyer is absolutely disgusting. They're like, a reporter asks him something like, was there like a physician present when you did these autopsies? And the lawyer's like, well, what is presence? Or something like wild like that. And she's like,
stop.
and she literally goes, are you serious?
He's trying to like Better Call Saul them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so just wild people doing wild things. And so he never, was accredited or went to get even, to be a pathologist assistant, which is a master's degree. So like, as you can tell, there are many levels that you need to reach in order to be certified to conduct and
to be telling people how they
autopsies.
died.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it. And he does have a bachelor's degree in life science. So
what even does that mean?
Yeah, I guess
that's what I was going to ask. I was
give
like,
him
what
that.
is that?
I don't know, but he was
like, damn bitch, me
planning
too.
to go to medical school. He was planning to go to medical school.
Yeah, and I was planning to go to law school, but here we are. Like,
the road to good intentions, or the path to the good.
Yep.
What's the fucking quote?
the road of good intentions is paved by some bullshit.
But yeah, exactly. For this guy, paved by his bullshit. So he has been convicted. He got 69 months in prison.
Nice.
69.
Yeah.
Hey.
And he had to pay $250,000 in restitution. I also saw
that's like nothing.
Yeah, I saw some other reports that there were some other fees like to the court and stuff, but yeah, I think like he under $1 million he had to pay back, and he received through all of this over $1 million. So
see, that's
really
fucked up.
Great.
That's the same thing with the when we talked about it last episode with the tissue procurement organization. Like, I feel like they should take into account the money that was made off of these scandals. Like, it should the fees that they have to pay in restitution, like, they should fucking match, or at least be closer to that, and like, so I had to do math because I'm bad at month stuff. 69 months is short of 6 fucking years. 6 years. That's like nothing. That's nothing.
That's probably less than he was in school for his fake doctor.
Yeah.
Like,
Jesus.
He failed a few classes. And then another report that stuck out to me throughout this research, just because this guy is like seriously, he's a weirdo. Okay. At a deposition once, Parcells was claimed to have brought a brain with him to offer to the attorney as evidence.
No, he did not.
Like literally just a brain in a jar, like how you would fix it at the, medical examiner, and just kind of slid it over on the table. And the guy was like,
"There's your evidence."
No, he was like, "I'm actually good on this. Thank you so much."
That's so unhinged, dude.
Yeah. So then there are also. So then you think like, oh, he's going to, he got to take that back. He's going to take it back to his facility. Well, the facility, there is video evidence of reports in this facility where it's just like a back alley shop, one building with a door you walk into, and like what you were talking about with how there needs to be like 2 sets of doors between a dead body and the outside. Nope, just like one door, a carpeted room with a bunch of tissue samples all over. What? And an autopsy bed in the middle where there's some like tile, and then you can literally see the toilet to take a shit in right next to it.
That is heinous. That is heinous.
That's ridiculous.
Awful.
Christ on a cracker,
So yeah,
dude.
so truly actually a horror movie.
Seriously, oh my god, guys, this is so much. This is so much.
Yeah, so that's what I have to bring. What you got, Red?
So this one, I felt like through all, like this story is the reason that I wanted to do these episodes. I feel like it's like the granddaddy of like all of these.
Oh shit.
It's got like the most research, the most like court stuff. Like it's crazy. Like just when you think it's like not crazy enough, it gets crazier type of thing, right?
I am so ready.
Your bodies are ready.
Take me there.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm buckled in.
So this is actually one folks out there may have actually heard of on their own. It's one of the bigger of the funerary scandals in the last few decades. So let me paint you a picture. So nestled in the tip-top corner of Northwest Virginia sprawls a verdant natural landscape of Walker County. Tommy Marsh had the calling to open up a crematory to assist the local funeral homes in their care of the families that they served. He was well respected as a member of the Noble community, Noble being the city or whatever they're called when they're that small, offering much needed services in many respects of funerary necessities. That is, until he fell quite ill in his later years. That's when his son, Ray Marsh, took over the family business in 1996 in Tommy's stead. This would be the start of the end for Tri-State Crematory.
Dun dun dun.
So this all kicked off when a propane truck driver was the first to mention some oddities during his time delivering at the crematory, to which the sheriff's department was notified twice by this driver. And after doing a walkthrough of the property, they reported nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until 2002 that the Environmental Protection Agency was tipped off by an anonymous caller that not everything was what it seemed at this crematory. So the investigators suited up and headed out to Tri-State, and what they would find would grip the county in horror and disgust for many years to come. I need to put some like dark, spooky music
Dun dun dun.
at this point.
It just needs to like build throughout this whole episode. It just gets worse and worse.
Decaying bodies in various stages of decomposition were strewn indoors and out on the premises, tucked away in storage sheds and burial vaults, laid haphazardly through rooms in containers, or stacked on top of each other, and some buried on the grounds. Some had been left to rot for so long that all was left were skeletal remains.
Ooh.
It was truly a scene out of a slasher flick. The carnage of this grisly spectacle totaled about 340 dead bodies that were recovered after this discovery, and it's estimated to be about a third of the total bodies that were admitted into the crematory's care over all these years. A third.
That's terrifying.
Holy crap.
Yeah, like absolutely just insane. We'll get into more of it later, but just like the amount of work it would actually take to not cremate those bodies and do this.
It's so much worse.
It's more. It's more work.
Just do it. Just do your job.
Do it.
You know? This episode's sponsored by Nikes, right? Just do it.
Just do it. No, please don't just not cremate bodies, please.
Please.
So something I thought would be interesting to mention during this episode too, because it is prevalent in either episodes that we mentioned before or just things in general when it comes to mass disasters like this. So a national mortuary response team was dispatched to start the process of identifying all of these bodies. So I couldn't find anything to confirm, but I'm assuming that it's DMORT, which is Disaster Mortuary Operational Response Team. They've been involved in assistance during catastrophes like Maui, the fires in Maui, the Hurricane Katrina, stuff like that. So they fly in, drive in, they identify remains, and they try to get the deceased home to their loved ones, wherever that might be. So after their dedicated work along with the local law enforcement and other agencies, 226 of those bodies were actually able to be identified, which is like astounding. That's like great. It's not all, but it's still quite a few. DNA testing of possible relatives was huge in this endeavor, but in situations that living next of kin weren't available or decomposition was just too advanced, that's why 113 of them weren't able to be identified. Oof. So it's really sad that so many people were just left to this fate.
That's wild.
I feel so bad for them.
I do too.
That's nearly half. That is half. That's terrible.
Yeah, it was especially just to be a person in the area and just like knowing that your loved one was cremated there, or not even knowing which crematory the funeral home chose to cremate your loved one, and just like not
wondering forever,
never
having closure on that. Yeah, that's awful.
Exactly. So here is where we get into phase 2 of the craziness.
Oh no.
It does in fact get worse. So what would drive a man overseeing this business to let something this just horrendous and heinous occur? Come to find out, he doesn't know. He doesn't even know himself. So while in court, Ray stated, just like as a broad statement to the cameras and stuff, to those of you who have come here today looking for answers, I cannot give you any.
Like, wow, okay.
Garbage.
Shut up. Yes, you can. Shut up.
But wait. Oh, I'm gonna read through this next part and see what you guys think. So, okay. He claimed that the retort was broken. That's still really not an excuse for neglect of this caliber. And actually, that was debunked, completely debunked. Like it was found to be like they tested it, and it was found to be in a semi-working state. Like there were some issues, but it worked. And so this is where this theory. So let me see what you guys think. So his defense attorneys had this theory that they wanted to enter. So they did a physiological test on Ray, and this test actually showed markers for mercury toxicity. Oh. So the claim here was that the failure in the crematory ventilation system, where like the stovepipe that's supposed to go to the outside and like vents out all of the smoke and all that stuff, because it was faulty, it exposed both Ray and his father to toxic levels of mercury poisoning resulting from the cremation of dental fillings.
What? No. What?
Which sounds crazy, but hold on. I'm gonna get I tinfoil hat this episode.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it at first too when I read that. I was like, bullshit, chicken shit, no fucking way. But so his dad, Ray's dad, Tommy, his failing health included strokes, neuropathy, and symptoms similar to Parkinson's, which, surprise, surprise, this also mirrors mercury poisoning symptoms. So there's that.
Okay.
And so according to OSHA, the permissible exposure limit to mercury is 0.1 micrograms over the course of 8 hours. So there's a British Columbian study that suggests per cremation, 1.2 grams of mercury is emitted into the atmosphere. So if you do math, like even if, not all of that was going into the same room of like where the retort was, it's still way more than 0.1 micrograms over 8 hours. Like pretty severe. It doesn't take a mathematician to show that's like way over the limit. Yeah. So they did a hair test without Ray's knowledge. They just asked him for hair, didn't tell him why. Took his hair and tried to confirm the theory, and the results actually did seem to confirm it. Ooh. But this is just a theory still. Yeah. This is a theory. So they didn't really have many more testing past that, so it's going to be a mystery for the ages, I guess, at this point. And of course, the poor families don't want closure. But what do you guys think? Like, do you think possible? Not possible?
I don't know, man. That's wild.
I love to theorize. I do love a good theory. But that's crazy. But I mean, crazy things happen. So I don't know. That's insane.
Well, because like, is it hatters, like haberdashers that used to have like mercury or lead or something that they put into hats, and that's why they mad as a hatter came to be a term, right? Because they were exposing themselves to those metals. So like, makes you do crazy things. Like
maybe mad as a cremation operator.
Yeah.
So okay. I guess my question, my kind of like disconnect that I'm trying to figure out here. So did he like, was he like, yeah, I got mercury poisoning and that's why I let all these bodies just decay?
No, so they did all of this stuff. This was all like the defense attorneys and stuff, like
Okay.
getting these theories together. Like it wasn't him at all that had these thoughts. Like he had no fucking clue.
So his defense attorney was like, you didn't take care of these dead bodies or like anybody who paid you to take care of them because we're gonna say you were sick and you had mercury poisoning.
Yeah, because you crazy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So that was
okay.
like their ploy, to do it. But it wasn't his. It wasn't Ray's. Because he had no idea why.
Right. Well, because he's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because he has
exactly.
mercury poisoning.
Yeah.
I would want to know the results of the dad's testing. Like if there, if there was a way to get his hair.
Dig him up.
He's hella dead.
Dig him up.
Like, if he still got hair, maybe they could. I don't know. That would be like more confirmatory to me than just
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, because heavy metals would still probably remain in hair strands. Like hair doesn't break down that quickly, and neither does
but
heavy metals.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, cool. So you're crazy. So you just let the bodies like sit there, but like, how is that? I don't know, man. That doesn't seem right. Because you would have been like,
yeah, like what was he doing with his time? Like, was he just wandering around the property, just like poking them with a stick? Like, why wasn't he putting him in the retort? I don't understand.
That just doesn't seem like if he would have been like something told me not to. I could feel it in my ball sack or something. The voices.
Yeah.
Then like I would be like, oh well, we should see if he's like a brand of crazy, and then like I would kind of get it. But like if he just is like, I don't know why I didn't do it because you're lazy. Because for some reason you just did not want to do your job,
Exactly.
Well, and the thing is, it's only a third. So and it's not like he did 2/3 of them and then like the remaining years didn't do any of them. Like it's over time. Like he would cremate some and then not cremate others.
Yeah, it sounds like he had ADHD and he didn't feel like completing his tasks.
It sounds like he was... I don't know.
He sounds like me with my laundry. Like, I'll do a couple loads, and then I'm like, God, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. And then I run out of clothes, or like I run out of space to put the bodies, and then I have to do laundry again. It's like a never-ending cycle.
Right. I actually like that theory better than the mercury. That he just had severe untreated ADHD.
It would make more sense than being
more
like,
realistic.
I burned so many fillings in my days that I couldn't burn the last third of them. Like, shut the fuck up.
And it wasn't his company to begin with, right? It was his dad's. So maybe he didn't ever want to do it to
ADHD
begin
is
with.
hereditary. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it should be.
And I do want to like come to the defense of like his dad. Like his dad was a very respected member of the community. Like he did a lot of good for the community. So like if he had the crazies too, like why didn't he go around and do a bunch of fucked up shit? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So wait, okay. Exactly. So his dad managed to cremate everybody, right? But like his son
this was only a problem.
He
once
inherited this. Okay, hear me out.
Yeah.
I know this man. I've decided. Cool. You inherit a company. Cool. It's cremating bodies. Not very cool. Cool to some.
Right.
Now you have a job. Kind of cool. You get money. Very cool. You have to do work? Not cool. Like, the thought process is like, I'll do some. I did it. I did my best. I get that. That would make more sense than being like, maybe I ate a few too many pieces of sushi and now I have mercury poisoning.
But it's one of those things that's like, there's always companies looking to buy out shit like that, especially because cremation has been rising ever since then. So that's like true. The thing is, if he got into it and he's like, fuck man, I really can't do this, like there would have been any number of people he could have sold it off to before like doing this was the answer.
Wait, where was this? This was Georgia?
Georgia.
Yeah, listen.
Was it Georgia? Yeah, it was Georgia.
As somebody with family in Georgia, sometimes the thoughts don't be thoughtin', Maybe he just was like,
brain's a little
man,
smooth.
that would take a while to sell this and like get this shit together, So he's like, well, I'll keep doing it. I'm doing it. I'm making money. The checks are coming in. It's sick, I can't let Papa down or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe he just didn't want to explain, why he was selling it. Like if it's a staple in the
family.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, why would you do that? Why would you sell out? Maybe he's just like, maybe he's a vampire and, you know, just too many
This was
bodies.
just cover up.
This was cover up. That's a valid one. What kind of cryptids they got down in Georgia?
Oh, probably fucking all of them, dude.
Yeah,
like
I could see
eight
that.
big feets.
Big feet. Yeah.
Big feets. You know, I think in all of this too, though, I don't think that the funeral homes are completely off the hook in all of this. Because, like, I mean, they're contracting with this, like, crematory to take care of this. You know, it's not, like, necessarily their jurisdiction. But for the bodies that he didn't cremate, he still had to obviously give back an urn. Otherwise, this would have blown up so much quicker. Tri-State gave concrete dust back to these funeral homes in the urn. So, like...
So he had to go out and get concrete dust, or did he just have that shit laying around?
Oh, so he just had that. So one of the other things that they did is they made vaults for burial. That was one of the other things that they did for money. So that's what some of the bodies were found in, were these giant concrete vaults. So yeah, they had concrete dust, which looks very different than cremated remains. And so funeral homes like filling urns, because they're just going to come back from the crematory most likely in just like a plastic temporary container, which then you have to transfer that into an urn. And so like knowing what cremated remains look like, they're pretty grainy. There's still like some fragments of the bone that haven't been completely smashed down or processed down by the cremulator. So there's even like slight color variations within the fragments. Some are like black, some are gray, some are white. So,
side note question: cremerator, does that
cremulator?
cremulator? Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds delicious.
Does that like?
It's a bone
smush
blender.
you? Okay, that was going to be my question.
Yep. It's a giant industrial blender.
You know, I never actually thought about that. I genuinely just thought that like when you got cremated, you just got ashed. You know, I didn't think about the fact that you had to be blended.
Nope, there's still bones. Like you can actually still see like bone parts in there. Like when you open up the retort. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So they dump that in the blender, and then that gets all smashed down to tiny, tiny little particles. But no, but it looks different than fucking concrete does.
Oh my
like,
God.
If I was like to start. Obviously, they had to contract with another crematory at some point, and I was seeing cremated remains from them, and all of a sudden I started seeing these. I'd be like, that's fucking sus. That is so sus that like this consistency is different. That's crazy to me. And also, like, I think it's the duty, if you are contracting with a third party to do something for your business, like at some point you should go, at least like management or something should tour the facilities, make sure that they're a good agent to work with for your business, because obviously if that business sucks, that looks bad on your business because you decided to contract with them. So like these funeral homes should have been a little more diligent in placing their trust into just anybody, you know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they probably worked with them before when it was their dad, but still. Funeral directors do this shit forever. Like some funeral directors work at funeral homes for like 30 fucking years. Like they would notice a fucking difference. Like it's just,
I mean,
gets me heated.
There are so many like intricacies to any job at all that like when there's a slight difference, you notice it immediately.
Know.
Like,
yeah.
And that's any job, anything that you're doing. If somebody added an egg to a recipe for a baker that didn't need an egg, they'd know it directly from looking at the batter, you know?
Exactly. You're exactly right. And I think it kind of sucks that, you know, he only served 12 years in jail. And I mean, he's out. Like he's going to be on probation the rest of his life. But
I didn't know that. I've heard this before. I had no idea.
He's just out roaming around.
Yeah. I don't think it's enough. I really don't think it's enough, because when you compound like how many bodies, so 340 bodies, when you compound how many people have to grieve like this horrible atrocity, that's like their rest of their lives that they have to deal with that trauma. Like 340 people's worth of families. Like 12 years is not fucking enough.
No,
not at all.
Not nearly.
This just goes to show, and this is for the last two episodes, this episode and the last one, this is an overarching theme. It goes to show how important regulation is. Tri-State operated in a loophole. That's because it only worked directly with funeral homes, and because of the state that it was in, And because of that setup, it didn't need a license, and therefore it didn't require state inspection. Like,
that's crazy.
Laws have been adjusted since then, thank goodness, but obviously mostly influenced by this case. And fortunately, like, other states seeing this in the public, other states even tightened their laws and their restrictions and their regulations as well. So, I mean, I guess that's a good thing that came from this in that respect. But the fact that something this bad had to happen for those laws to go into place kind of sucks.
It does suck.
Bad lesson to have to learn. And since then, since all this horrible stuff happened, this crematory has been demolished. But the stain of these misdeeds are obviously going to haunt so many people for lifetimes. And one of the positive notes, yet again, the community stepping up to do really nice things. There's a nice memorial section of Tennessee, Georgia Memorial Park Cemetery where the uncremated remains of those that were found on the grounds that weren't able to be claimed, they're laid to rest there. So that's kind of nice that there's a place that they were able to go and finally have some peace. For the listeners, I really, these aren't meant to be scary episodes for you guys. I don't want you to all leave from this and be like,
nightmare.
I don't trust anybody anymore. Everything's tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Yeah.
Like this is just one example. Like, these were some of like the worst examples we could find, like, across the board. And it's just like one bad apple spoils the bunch. There are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of funeral homes, cemeteries, medical examiners, tissue procurement agencies, everything that do their job properly. They do it with care, concern, and love for not only their craft, but the people and the communities they serve. So please don't immediately get your hackles up about any of these types of industries or corporations or anything, because there's a lot of good people doing good work out there, but we just happen to go over some of the worst of them. These are outliers.
The stinkies.
So that's going to be it this week on Mort Mike. Thank you for hanging in there with this wonderful saga that we've created. I'd like to thank once more our donees that helped us get back on the air for this year. Laura, the Goulias family, Vermillion, Luke, Shay, Courtney, and Sue. We will be announcing in the next few episodes who the winner is to choose which episode topic we'll have at their discretion. Connect with us on our socials at Facebook and YouTube at Mort Mike Podcast. And if you have any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear about or burning questions you might have about death, shoot us an email at mortmikepodcast@gmail.com.
A huge thanks to Joey, our dedicated studio gopher, Marson Music for our theme Deputies of Death, and Macklin Legan for our custom icons and banners.
Be sure to tune in the first Thursday of every month for more casual discussions on death. Thanks so much for listening. This has been Mort Mike.
Bye, ghouls.
Bye.